Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session of the Chicago Responsible Jewelry Conference, a panel on how to elevate a nation's gemstone trade through a single Gemcut design. My name is Robert Weldon, and I am the director of the GIA Library and Museum in Carlsbad, California. GIA's and my work in helping educate ASM miners in East African communities, together with our partner PACT, has given me a better understanding about the very fundamental need for a remodel in the gemstone chain of custody. Simply put, the very countries where these gemstones come from don't benefit enough in the value-added equation. Too often, the gemstone rough leaves the country of origin to be cut in another commercial center around the world where there is no cultural understanding about the source. Those gemstones are undoubtedly beautiful too, but a valuable part of the gem story gets lost there. Times are rapidly changing. For one, the quality and beauty of lapidary in the country of origin is on a major ascent, and there is a rising national pride in producing finished gemstones that the world wants, using the country's own resources and human skills. From the global consumer perspective, there's also a rising interest in these beautiful gemstones having an actual story to tell and traceability to the very mine that produced it. Today, our panel of academics and cutters, some from the sources of gemstones in Africa, will discuss and share an idea that brings all of this together, elevating a nation's gem trade through a single, and if I may add, symbolic gemstone design. To kick it off, we will first discuss the origin of the concept, how it all got started. We will hear from members of the cutting communities and how they are embracing these challenges. And we will hear from Virtu Gems, which brings these communities together and provides a platform for the whole gemstone supply chain. So to kick it off, let's start with Dr. Adriano Moll, who will introduce himself and tell us more about this concept. Adriano?
Hi, Robert. Thank you for this lovely introduction. And I may say it's an honor to be in a panel with you, such a renowned person in the gem industry. It's also a pleasure to be showcasing this work here with you, all by invitation of Susan Wheeler and Jessica Hudson. And I'm very glad to be here with my fellows, Chico, Carol, and Lameck, who I think it's coming shortly to join us. So I'm not sure, can you see my screen already?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So I'll start up by presenting this idea of this whole design of specialty gem cuts. So I come from Brazil, which is also a country, as you all know, producer of gemstones. And I come from the State University of Minas Gerais. We have around 21,000 students in 16 cities statewide. And I have been working with ASMs to develop better concepts for jewelry for the past 18 years. So I'm very happy to be invited by Virtu Gem to do some work and to learn a bit more with my fellows from Zambia, Malawi, and Kenya. So this work that we are just starting now, it can be explained aligned to Virtu Gems initiative, which is to promote innovation and sustainability in cutting country gemstones. So, fostered and helped by the World Bank, this project that we are doing, its main goal is to select one traceable gemstone and to develop a better way to market it through the Virtu Gem platform that has been doing a great job in putting closer the producer and the buyers mostly in the US market. So this is mostly what we are going to do. And we have this design approach, right? And the design approach usually starts with the why. So you can all read the last sentence of this slide, that it shows our why. We want to reinforce the uniqueness of the local producer, because we see gemstones coming from everywhere, and we don't know specifically where do they come from. They can come from Brazil or Asia or somewhere in Africa. And we believe that they proposed territorial product development will promote better these said gemstones and places. And how we are going to do this is by running a series of workshops to identify together some symbolic capital and try and foster group identity. We are not trying to do this from top to bottom. We are trying to build this ground up together. That's why the co-design. So we will be running these workshops, and they are in some way a training process, because the mineral producers will be able by doing so to increase their value proposals in those three places initially. And why one stone? Because of the time frame that we have, that is to be showcasing this in Tucson next year, just around the corner, February 2022. That Jessica will at the end speak a little more about it. And so we are in the middle of the project. We are currently on phase 2 of how we are going to do it. The first thing we did is to gather some social cultural aspects that we will be putting together on the said gemstone designs. And this, as I said, we are doing this collectively. We have been talking to the select group in every country. We have here Carol and Chico, who are country coordinators, and they have been our liaison with the whole group there. And so all us together are putting this along to work afterwards with. And both Carol and Chico and Lameck will show some of these characteristics that we will be using on our designs. Phase 2 that we will be starting off just next week are the actual creative workshops, where we will, again, together, put this information, couple with technical information, and try and match their existing producing capability through the cutting possibilities with said gemstones. And on phase 3, we will have already selected one traceable mine because of provenance, right? We need to enhance our provenance more and more. It's growing in importance to know the origin of the gemstones. So we want to single out one single mineral to be, as Robert said perfectly, symbolic of the production of each country. So we have a representative specialty cut for each country. And then on phase 4, we will assist production, gather feedback, and marketing, starting in Tucson, with these gemstones that will function then as I said, symbols of each and every production. Let's say, as we all know, Zambian amethyst. But now, doing this, we will have a formal aspect to the gem produced there. And to showcase this, Carol, Susan asked me to bring some of my work, my own work, to illustrate it. How do we do this? How do we use a cultural reference in a gemstone and a jewelry design? So some of you know that in Brazil, amethysts come from southern Brazil, in the border of Uruguay. And on that area, we have a canyon. It's called Itambezinho Canyon. And then I designed this together with my partner in jewelry design, Fernando Maculan. At 2006, we did a jewel for a competition by Brazilian Gems and Jewelry Institute. And we were happily selected finalists there. And then we designed this piece of jewelry inspired on this canyon. And you can see this is Brazilian amethyst coming from southern Brazil, where we have this geological formation. And this jewel was inspired by the riverbed of this said canyon. So in a way, this piece of jewelry says something about Brazilian amethyst, right? So another example, and the second and last one that I bring to you, is more of a technical work that I designed for Brazilian gemstone imperial topaz. I don't know if you know about it, but Baroque art style is a big thing here in Brazil. And we have this in our art with this is on architecture and art. We have this art style that it's known different from the European Baroque for our bigger contrast and plasticity. So I tried to bring some of these elements of our cultural background represented here on this church, which is very peculiar, to this said gemstone cut. And you can see the contrast here on this on the top is it's a render, it's not the actual picture. So it's the computer designed image. And you can see on the bottom, the actual cut picture of the cut, and you can see how similar it is. And you can refer also to the shapes here. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but the shapes of this church, you can see this on the on the girdle shape of this cut. So this is, as I said, is a more technical cut. We have all this technology here to adjust and to perfect these cuts. And to end, why not do this? Why? So the point of this thing that we are doing is, why do we need to cut both in Brazil and in Africa in the same way people are cutting in the US or in Europe? Of course, we have cutting standards and we have these cuts have been perfected for centuries. But today we have the technology to do differently, and why not, right? So this is a brief presentation of what we are about to do there, and thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, that was really fantastic, and I can see from all the little hearts that are floating up to the top that everyone so enjoyed that connection, understanding really the beauty of the design. And so I'd like to maybe ask Chikomeni to tell us from his point of view what the experience has been like in Malawi. And so I will leave the floor to you, Chikomeni. Please go right ahead.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's really fantastic about this whole nation gemstone trade to develop a card where it is a representative of the source country. So with Adriano, we are trying to develop this card for Malawi. We use a rhodolite. Malawi produces a lot of rhodolite, and it just goes out without being processed in any way. So as a country in Malawi, we've been trying as much as possible to make sure that we go the way of value addition, so that we can be able to realize more from the gemstones which are being mined. But the setback has been that most of the people, they are not cutters. We are handicapped when it comes to cutters. Very few of them. But with this kind of initiative. I hope we are going to get more cutters. The few which are there, who are already cutting right now, we just want to make sure that their skills are advanced through this initiative. Dr. Adriano Mo will help us in achieving that. And what we want is that the cut which are going to develop should be associated with Malawi, with our cultural heritage. As many of you maybe know that Malawi have got a very beautiful lake, which is called Lake Malawi. And this lake is a body of lake with more fish species than any other body of water in the world. And we are very proud that we have got many chichilids, which are commonly known as mbuna fish in Malawi. Most of the chichilids which you see in the aquariums across the world, most of them, the beautiful ones, the origin is Malawi. So what we want is that we want to associate this cat, which we are going to develop, to this fish, because it's our national pride, it's our national treasure. So we are going to call it the Mbuna cat. And the people who are going to take part in this training, they are going to develop this cat. As you can see on the slide there, those are some of the fish, and this is the rod at which we are going to cut, and it will be associated with this kind of fish, the Mbuna cat. And we are looking forward to developing this cat with the help of Adriano and the Virtu Gem, and I hope this will increase the number of people to go into lapidary, so that we can be cutting most of the stones here in the source country. Of course, apart from rhodolite, Malawi also boasts of a lot of gemstones like aquamarine. We have emerald. I mean, not emeralds, but we have ruby, we have sapphire, and many other stones. So we look forward to making sure that Malawi becomes a major cutting hub also in Africa in the near future. And I'm sure the world will embrace the cut which are going to develop, and they will promote us. But the other challenging thing is that most of the people, they will get trained in lapidary, but for them to go and practice, it becomes a very big challenge, because the machinery is a very, very big challenge for them. So it's like you train the people, but they're just sitting. They have nowhere to work. They have they cannot manage to buy the equipment for lapidary. So we are working towards that these people, when they get trained, that is, they should have somewhere to train, to practice their skills, so that most of the stones which are mined, they should be value added. Then the jewelry designers, I can see some of the participants are designers, that they can be able to purchase directly from the source countries than in the current trend, where the stones goes out of the source countries to other countries. Then they are value added there, they are processed there, and these jewelries, they go to buy there. We need to reverse this trend, that the source countries now should be able to cut and send it directly to the jewelers, and that would be a great achievement as the source countries. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was fantastic, Chico. And a couple of questions did come up that I'm seeing. One of them, and I think the picture that you showed us kind of tells it, but are women doing a lot of the cutting in Malawi?
Yes, they are. In fact, it was me who was training these women. But the sad thing is that I trained them, but it's the thing which I'm talking about, that after training, they have nowhere to practice. But they are highly motivated, they are talented, but the major challenge is equipment. So, of course, I've got a cutting center where I stay. I invite some of them to come, but some people, where they come from, they don't have such kind of facilities. So it's like they get trained, but the skill just doesn't go out just because they have nowhere to go and utilize their skills.
Wow, yeah, Chico, yeah, definitely the challenges are many, but it's just remarkable that you are able to bring so much of this together and bring some unity to the trade that way. So I think that we don't have Lameck. I think he hasn't shown up yet. So I wonder if we can, Carol Muchira, if we can possibly go to you next and have you explain what is happening in Kenya and particularly your experience with this entire program. Carol?
Yes, let me share the PDF. Okay. So yeah, my name is Caroline Muchira from Kenya. I'm a gemologist and Gemcutter based in Nairobi, and I'm the coordinator of Virtu Gem in Kenya. So today I'm going to talk about Kenya's participation in the cutting workshop led by Professor Adriano, whose aim is to create a faceting design representing Kenya. I will highlight some of the cutters participating in the workshop, as well as some of the Kenyan national symbols that can be incorporated into the design. So we see here, these are women miners from Voi, who I have trained to cut gems and add value by faceting, tumbling, curbing, and drilling. Now they are able to cut some of the rough they mine and sell at a higher price. Some of these women are participating in the cutting workshop. So they're holding their first stones that they learned how to facet, which is a standard round brilliant cut. So Professor Adriano asked us to look for national symbols that we will use to create our designs. So the first here is Eliud Kipchoge. When someone thinks of athletics or professional running, Kenya comes to mind. Kipchoge is one of Kenya's outstanding long-distance runners who represents Kenya in the world stage, and he is the 2020 Olympic marathon winner. So as Kenyans, we are proud when we hear our national anthem being played because a medal has been won. The second one is this one here, is the coat of arms of Kenya. This is the official seal or shield. So the two lions are the symbol of protection. The lions are holding spears and a traditional shield, which symbolizes unity and defense of freedom. The shield contains the Kenya's national colors: black for the people of Kenya, red for the blood shed during the struggle for freedom, green for natural resources, white for peace and unity. The lions are also standing on Mount Kenya, which is the highest mountain in Kenya. And Harambee, the word written down there, means pulling together in Swahili. And then we also have the lilac-breasted ruler, the beautiful bird there. This is Kenya's national bird. It has 8 colors: green, white, black, yellow, turquoise, dark blue, reddish brown, and lilac. So the colors represent the many different ethnic groups that make up the Kenyan community. It is a beautiful reference to the rich diversity that exists in Kenya. And this is a fearless bird that does not fear humans the same way that other birds do. So finally, this is a Savarite, the Kenya's most popular and valuable gem. So as Kenya is happy to be part of this cutting workshop, and we appreciate being part of the process from inception to the final execution of the design. And we look forward to cutting a Kenyan mined gemstone using a Kenyan cut. Thank you.
Wow, Carol, fantastic. And, you know, I think like many of us, we've traveled through Kenya on occasion. And first of all, that bird is truly magnificent. And I'm a photographer, so I'm always hoping to catch a glimpse of it, but it's a shy bird. It doesn't it's not so easy to photograph. But what a fascinating evolution that you've gone through to arrive at your decisions. And I imagine that it's been there's been a lot of discussion going on to inform your choice. First of all, how many people are there in your group and the cuttings?
Right now we have 10 cutters, and it's a mixture of seasoned cutters. People have been cutting for a long, long time, and students. So it's a mixture of seasoned cutters and students. So 10.
Fantastic. You know, what I'd like to get is maybe the feeling, the feeling that is coming out of this project. Is there a sense of pride, a sense of really wanting to get into this in order to create a symbol for your gemstone and country? Tell us a little bit about that.
The participants at first were curious, and they're still curious, and they want to see how a bird or an athlete or our coat of arms will be transformed into a cat. So they're really waiting to learn from Adriano how this is going to happen. But they're also excited that they'll have a cat which they can own. That will be a Kenyan cat. And they're happy because it is not a cat which is imposed on us. We are going through the process together to come up with something that we all agree on.
Okay, fantastic. I'm reading some of the comments that are coming in here, and I think it's very important to say that this workshop is part of the World Bank grant for Virtu Gem as well. So just as an aside, it has been stated there in the conversations, but I think it's definitely an important thing to also say, because any project of this scope requires help, and it requires interested parties. So, you know, thank you for that. And it's just it's really heartening for me to see this evolution, because I really mean it when I say that so often gems go elsewhere, but they've sort of, I don't want to say that they've lost their soul, but there's so much more to the story to tell if the cutting takes place at the source. There's a symbol that can wrap all of these concepts together. Absolutely. So I'm getting a little bit of reverberation here in this. I don't know if it's my microphone, but anyway, I think Lameck hasn't joined us yet at this point. So Jessica, I'd like for you to please take the baton at this point and sort of give us the whole Virtu Gem aspect, and then how all of this is going to roll out, if you can give us a sense of that. And I'll take myself off and mute myself, but Jessica, it's all yours now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Robert. So before I begin, I think I'm gonna go ahead and share what Lameck would have presented on what's happening in Zambia. So let me just get this to show. Here we go. So Lameck's working with, or Lameck is working with some students in the Thole, and I think, Adriano, if you have anything to add to this, please do. So that was the students that he'll be working with, and they kind of together have created what they would like to work with, which is the eagle. And they'll be working with amethyst. Adriano, if you have anything to add to some of the discussions that we've had with Lameck, please do.
Great. So it's nice that they show themselves as the references that they chose and the gemstone that they chose. Because as Carol said, we are not here to impose anything on them. It's on the opposite, complete opposite way. We are here to build this together because I believe this is the only way. And we have Lameck joining right on time. I think he can speak for Zambia now.
Oh, wow, perfect.
Perfect timing, huh?
Yeah.
And I just wanted to add, meanwhile, that I'm very happy that Chico said we are doing the Mibona cut, because I had this insight of using the fish as a symbol, but I wasn't keeping it to myself. And now that he went on and said it, I am feeling happy because that's the way to go. And I'm happy because he said it, and I'm happy because we will be able to follow this path that for the Malawi cut. Very happy to hear it, Chico. And this is illustrative of the work that we are doing, because afterwards, if they design this, if the group designs it together, it will be more personal to them. So it will last longer. It will be more meaningful. We have seen this in Brazil for a long time. Projects that are, when they end, the project doesn't happen anymore. It doesn't continue. And this is a problem here in our developing countries. I think it's the same thing in Africa, as in some places in Africa, as it is in some states in Brazil. So I think these similarities will help on putting the project forward. I think it's a little contribution from my part here. And I think he's having internet
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll go ahead and speak, and then if he's able to join, we can come back to him. So hello, everyone. I'm Jessica Hudson. I'm co-founder of Virtu Gem with Susan Wheeler and Monica Kachui. And we are together working on Virtu Gem, which is, as Robert mentioned, funded by the World Bank. So our aim is to support the gemstone supply chain from the ground up, which is, from the mine to the market, through transparency and connection. To just kind of like bring it back a little bit from before we introduced Adriano and we're working just with the platform that we had. So part of my role is to facilitate sales, and we offer custom cut gems, which is super fun and exciting. But at the same time, we were getting just cut gems coming through and noticing that it was like a lot of traditional cuts, which is fine, nothing wrong with that. But we were like, wanting to kind of encourage more creativity and the design of cutting. So we invited Adriano to come for a workshop, and noticed that it was like a lot of excitement around that and interest. So then we kind of discussed this, what we're presenting today, which is really exciting to see that we're able to not only bring opportunity for encouraging creativity expression with cutting, but learning more skills and technique that could be applied to after and practice. So as Adriano mentioned, we're in the second phase, and it's been really great to be a part of these workshops and getting everybody together and talking amongst each other and sharing ideas. And it's, that's part of the connection and everybody working with each other. which I think is just that's a big part of Virtu Gem, is the connecting, and that's a lot of the value too. So the gem that will be coming out with, or this cut, will have that infused into it, all this time working together, which I think is a really important piece, in my opinion. So yeah, and then we're looking to bring the final product to Tucson. So those of you listening, like, that's something to look forward to. I hope to see you in Tucson and see what we come up with. I don't know what more to add other than this is like the process that we're in, and we're continuing. As Adriano said, our next phase is like the creative workshops, where we're working individually with the countries, and getting everybody together to share and start discussing how to work with these ideas, that, like, it seems like we've already come up with. Each country has an idea. So unless there's anything else, Adriano, that you want to add, I'd like, if there's questions from anybody, I think it would be a good opportunity to take some questions.
Well, I have a quick question for you, Jessica, if I may. And that is, first of all, where will it be displayed in Tucson, if you know already? And then how will it be displayed? Will there be any information for people in Tucson to understand that these are being shown somewhere?
That's a great question. We haven't really quite discussed that. I'm imagining that Virtu Gem will have a booth, and that's where we will, showcase these cuts. Yeah, and another part, just going back to like the value and like enhancing and elevating this whole, what we're discussing, right, is, you get material maybe that isn't like ideal, right? But then you're able to apply a creative cut to it, that adds this uniqueness to it, that adds the value to it, right? So that's a whole nother, I think that's a big part of like the creative design component that really can enhance and elevate a gem's value. And not only like that, in addition to being, sourced and cut from the origin, and the whole level of transparency and all of that. So
yeah.
Really.
Fantastic. And Susan just posted, which I think we might as well say as well, that Virtu Gem has a booth at the Ethical Gem Suppliers Show in Tucson. So that is where those will be shown, and that's good to know. So for people who are looking to see what this actually looks like, and I'm very curious. I'm so excited to see these new designs and to see how it's going to really transform business. So good. Thank you so much for that, Jessica. And I think Lameck, unfortunately, just was not able to make it. I thought Dr. Moll gave a very nice and succinct sort of overview with your help, Jessica, on what he was going to speak about. Again, it's very similar, although I think he had probably many more cutters in his group. So it would have been interesting to hear from him. I'm sorry about that. But here, I have a question, if I may just pose one. How will this gain legs and traction in the future? Is that something, Adriano, that you could speak to?
Yeah, sure. Happy to do so. Well, when we embed one story on a product, it can become a symbol of the production, right? So if we put all together this symbolic aspect of the production, coupled with the group feeling that they may gain by doing such an initiative, will probably be a seed for a enhanced way of producing gemstones. And this is just on after the stone is dug out, right? All the other works that we have been so greatly seen here on this conference, with the mining, with the support for the groups and everything together, this will definitely enhance the the production there. And also the one thing that we have to mention is the connectivity that we have been. This is something good the pandemics brought. We are all being able now to meet each other, and see here we are sitting, everyone in our rooms, in our homes, on a lovely Saturday, and we are talking among the whole world, right? This is a community. The other day I was watching people saying the same. It's very interesting to do so. And why this is so important for us, producing countries? Because we need to be better connected to the global supply chain. We need to know more and more people, and we need to put our products out there. So I think it's not going back from this, it's just going forward. And I wanted to, I thought I mentioned the World Bank support for VirtuGem. And VirtuGem, I don't know if I didn't in the heat of the presentation, but it deserves all praise, both these supports and also everything that's working, everyone that's working to support this. VirtuGem is a humanitarian work per se. The work that Jessica does, the work that Susan does, and Monica as well. This is a humanitarian work, and they need they must be praised for this. There's no going back from it after people know this, right? If the veils are lifted, people know. I know Chico now. I know he's there. I know a lot more about Malawi now. I never knew. It was maybe similar to you in the US, the way you see Latin America as a whole. For us, for me here in Brazil, sometimes we see Africa as a whole. And now I have peculiar points of view of things there. I know a bit more about Savorite. I know, and this knowledge and education, which GIA is all about, it's great for, right, Robert? We are on the same field. So there is no going back from it.
Absolutely, Adriano. It's one of those things where once you commit to doing this, you are in it. And, everyone here from Carol and Chikomeni and Jessica and Susan and you, just so much effort has gone into really bringing people together to think in a slightly different way. And Adriano, really kudos to you for being the brainchild of really the concept in many ways. So bravo for that. I'm wondering if we can sort of appeal for some questions outside in the audience, if there's anyone who actually has some questions they'd like to ask.
Well, Robert, just to clarify, I'm no brainchild, okay? This is collective work.
Yes, Dr. Moll.
Jessica is to blame for all this. She's the one that has been putting this together ever since she was taking a hardship here in Brazil, where she interned for, how long was that, Jessica? 1 year? And I had the pleasure to meet her in 2016, I guess, 15, I don't remember.
Yeah, that was 1 year. It was 2010, 11, I think.
Wow.
Yeah,
That was
it was a while ago. But yeah, I think you came to mind for sure when it came to offering knowledge to being, the creative cutting.
Yes,
So
let me point something else also. I'm not offering knowledge. We are sharing. I learned so much from Carol. She just told me something I never heard of before the other day. And I'm glad to say, to see that they are very well equipped there. There was some questions on the audience. People were asking about the technology facilities that they have there. And I'm happy to see that they are well on the 3 countries. They have national schools, cutting schools, and I am happy to say for them that they are better equipped than most places here in Brazil, which is a nonsense to me. From my part, I am sad from Brazilians' part, but I'm happy from their part. Choose
Yeah,
date.
thanks for correcting that, because that's so true. Yeah, we are sharing knowledge for sure. We all have something to give and to gain.
So there's an interesting question from Christina Male. And the question is there any plan for Virtu to expand into calibrated cuts, but cut in country? Love the original idea and also wondering about the possibility for calibrated.
Should I answer that? Based on well, I think calibrated cuts shouldn't be ideal for Africa. I was saying before, we don't need to cut the same. We don't need to cut in Brazil the same way. There is a gemstone cutting culture that we don't need, that we cannot overlook. We have to respect the cultural capabilities of each people. And a Brazilian cutter will never cut like a Indian cutter from India, or a Chinese cutter, or a German cutter, or an American cutter. They have different setups. So I don't think calibrated cuts are the way to go for now there. It's a different approach, it's an industrial approach. Well, that's just my limited view so far.
Yeah, I mean, Carol, do you have anything to add to that?
We don't do much of calibrated cuts. I don't know whether we'll do in the future, but at the moment we don't do much of that.
Yeah, that's more of an industrial scale. It takes a lot of something different aspect. Maybe if she means calibrated by standardized sizes, yes, but if she means calibrated by small milli stones, I don't think so.
Right. There was a question about open source somewhere, and yeah, will these designs be open source? Yes. Yeah.
There's some other questions that are coming in. Brandy Dallo is asking how we're getting the word out about this initiative, and how is the target audience like, and is your target audience like-minded consumers? Are you selling through retailers?
Both. And right now, how we're getting the word out seems to be just Instagram, and we are working on marketing. You know, this is a discussion. So it's, yeah, like everything, a work in progress, right? We just move as we can. And who we're targeting, probably a lot of people who are attending this conference, I would imagine.
Yeah. From your end, Carol and Chikomeni, how are you getting the word out about this initiative? Is your basically how are you telling the story, and how can people follow it? Is it social media? I mean, how is the word getting out?
For Kenya, we have groups on WhatsApp. So the ones who are not participating, the people who are not participating because they're not cutters, like the miners, are in those groups, and they're following the process there. They attended the first training by Adriano, and they're really interested to see the whole process. So that is where they're following from.
Okay. Okay. And Chikomeni, is there anything you can add with regards to how the word is getting out? Are you tackling any of this through social media channels, or how are you telling people about this program?
Yeah, in Malawi, we are also using similar methods of reaching out to people. We are using very much social media.
You're
but
mute,
also
Chico, you're mute.
We are meeting some of the people directly.
Oh, Chico, you're still muted.
Meeting them directly to tell them about this initiative. But we
Chico, we
also
can't hear you. We
want
cannot
to
hear you.
utilize the forums where like we have conferences in country, we have some other meetings, and also
No.
later maybe when
We wanna hear what
when
he's
the
saying.
initiative takes
So,
shape,
Chico, just a
we also want
second.
to start utilizing the media so that the people should really understand that what we are doing is something of national pride, because
It might be a technical issue because
Yeah, because I can hear him.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was hearing him. I think he was mentioning how much an issue of national pride this was, and again through very similarly to Carol, he's spreading the word through the similar channels and social media. So that's what I heard. I realized not everyone was hearing him. So. Okay, here's another question from Susan Crow. Will we be able to purchase these gems in Tucson, or will they just be displayed for now?
I would imagine they would be available for purchase. I think that would be the ultimate goal. But that's my answer today.
Yeah, Robert, as you said yourself, it's a bold project, right? And we have the goal to have the gemstones beautifully finished and cut by them. But we can always let's pray and we do a hard work and be able to do so by then.
Okay. So another little question here: what happens after Tucson? Would anyone like to think about that one?
I think Chico is back now.
I think Carol or Chico, if you want to, I mean, obviously, I think continuing to work together would be what I would be in my mind. But if Carol or Chico, you have anything to say to that question?
The cutters are looking forward to selling their gems in Tucson, so they will cut stones that they expect or hope to sell. After Tucson, we are hoping this will create a trend that is not the only stone that they will design. They will use the knowledge they have learned and design other gems, so that we have many more gems coming from Kenya, which are designed in Kenya.
I'm going to make a commitment myself at this point. I will very gladly photograph the items that are on display in Tucson, and those images will be yours to use any which way you would like to use. That's my commitment to this project.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, I think we're running towards the end of this. I don't see any new questions coming in. So do we have any other final statements we'd like to make? I think with that, we are pretty much reaching the end of it. Carol, Muchira, thank you so much. Chico, also thank you, Dr. Adriano, Mol, and Jessica. Absolutely fantastic. What a great project. Really, it's inspired. And I thank you.
Thank you,
everyone.
Yeah, we couldn't do it without everyone. So it's.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'm so happy that you all liked it. It's very good incentive to us. Thank you so much for your support and praise.
Okay, I think it's a wrap.